Hey guys, editing Seth here really quick. I wanted to apologize again for the microphones that I bought cheaply off of Amazon. I only wanted quantity and not quality, and I am paying for that now as I'm editing this, so I tried to make it sound as best I could. It's not the worst sounding episode we've ever had, but hopefully you can follow along and it doesn't hurt your ears much. And also, as you can see behind me, our baby room is filling up with stuff, which means that the baby's coming soon. In fact, she's coming in about a week. So if I suddenly disappear and you miss an episode, that's probably why. But I will keep you informed and try and keep episodes as regular as possible. I'm interrupting again further into editing because I realized how bad it actually is. So I'm really sorry. A lot of times I had to switch to my lav microphone, which was the clearest, unfortunately. But that also means you get every single snack that I ate as ASMR in your ears. So if you're not into that, just skip this episode or whatever, because it's bad and I don't want to make excuses, so I'm sorry. Maybe one day when I'm rich enough, I'll be able to afford real podcast equipment. Let's get into the episode. Yep. I might include that.
No. But then too, like, I mean, you know, I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be that bad. But even like,
Probably the kitchen. Isaac says, "Where'd Ellie go?" And I said, "To the kitchen." She's gonna probably start our pizzas.
He's working on that sandwich.
Say it. That's got to get cut. Please cut that.
Yeah.
I'm begging.
You need carbs!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
There is beauty in imperfections.
You're great. I am.
And if you feel it,
Are you watching closely?
3, 2, 1. I was out time.
You were very young. I didn't know we were laughing either. So. Oh man, this is our roundtable that we found. Welcome to the roundtable. Everybody to the When I Film Podcast. I'm not your host, Seth Mossberg.
Shout out to our wide angle. I don't know how much I'll use that.
Wide angle?
It's my phone.
Would you look at that? I would just like, for the record, to state that I am being sucked into the middle of the couch.
What are you doing? You're sucked into the middle?
To be fair, I weigh 100 pounds, so
I want to see how much does that wide angle actually get? Okay.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's not that bad.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
Hey. Oh, it's kind of delayed though. Look at that. Oh, that's funny.
Hopefully it won't be in the...
It looks like it's in fast motion.
Just grown men seeing themselves in the camera and be like, ooh.
For the record, this is root beer. The only beer I can handle.
Red Solo Cup. Let's have a party.
12 seconds later.
Should we clap and start over? I don't know if we can include all this.
Oh, I'm going to beep it the whole time he's talking. Anytime we bring up that. If we said we're going to cut it, I'm just gonna put a huge long beep. Maybe not. Welcome everybody to the One Night Film Podcast. You too late.
Welcome everyone to the One Night Film Podcast.
Welcome everyone to the When I Film Podcast.
hey everybody, this is the One Night Film Podcast. You're more than
host,
welcome
Seth.
here. No, I'm Seth Mossberg.
Seth.
Maybe
So-
the real Seth Mossberg was the friends we made along the way.
You're not gonna get your intro in. I hope you know.
I don't want an intro. So I think this is the biggest in-person recording we've had. I don't know if I count the Prestige because that was impromptu and it was just a movie night with Zach.
When there's only the three.
Or with Will and Josh and I.
You didn't invite me.
You weren't around. But since episode 1, I don't think we've recorded more than... No, I guess Ellie recorded with Zach and I. So that's 3. Now we're 4. We could have had 5. And
6.
William, could you text Josh? Because he making time.
He should just FaceTime right now. Don't text FaceTime. Video call him somehow.
I actually could.
Well, he can jump on Riverside.
I was gonna say just have him join Riverside.
I don't know how we'll hear him because we'd also be hearing ourselves. So...
You don't want a reverb?
No, not really. I just meant text him, but...
Nope, too late. He's being FaceTimed.
Deegan cannot make it, which was sad, and that's like Luke was here for Jeopardy, and that's it. But we are here now. We're gonna talk for about an hour about Christian movies
or sorry, not Christian movies. I was listening to Bible is Funny on the way here, and I was like, yeah. We're going to talk about being a Christian and how to watch movies, because I haven't really done that since episode 0 before I knew anything. And I was really hoping Deacon was going to be here so that I could get his thoughts on horror, which is kind of what started me thinking like I really shouldn't follow episode 0 as closely as I thought I would. I made it because I was like, this is what I can direct people to kind of get an idea for what type of person I am, and where I want to go with the podcast. But that's been 3 years almost at this point. A lot has changed. My life has changed. What?
You're a grown man.
I'm a grown man. Even and a lot of my perspectives have changed on this stuff, specifically from doing the podcast, which is great. I hope other people have found that as well. But just try not to talk over each other and share your thoughts. What maybe I don't have any notes really. How do you think?
I don't.
Fair.
That's secrets.
A friend of yours, becomes a new believer, and they loved the R-rated, the horror, the sex stuff in movies. Like they would go to push their own limits. What would you say to them? How would you walk through them? That's kind of what mindset I want you in.
How would I walk through them?
Walk through it. You know me, I'm great with words. Walk through it with them to try and be like, okay, you're a new Christian, especially as sometimes we need like a real cleanser, or somebody might need a real cleanser of, let's not do that. And then maybe when you're a little further in your faith, let's think about it and process it again. I don't know if you've had a friend like that, or just what you think about, like, could they go watch The Conjuring after that's what they enjoyed, but now they're a new Christian, and like, should they still be indulging in that? There's something to be said about just, like I said, a purge for a while to get yourself centered in the gospel and to be a Christian first for a little bit before being a movie buff. But then we can get into like how we approach it, because we all like movies and have liked movies for 20 plus years.
Yeah. I think that one thing when it comes to new believers, and this is something that is generally applicable to all believers, but it is more applicable, I think, especially for new believers, because of the fact that there should be an expectation of sorts that you should see some like difference in like and how they start living their life. And this comes with the caveat that it's not that our deeds are what saves us. It's very explicit in the Bible and whatever, but it does talk about a heart transformation. And if you are generally sincere in like being made new in the image of God, then it isn't wrong to necessarily kind of have an idea, okay, then if you truly believe this, then that should start being represented in your life. And of course, we all fall short, and that's not an excuse, and it's not like everything is going to suddenly be easier and that person is only going to be completely different. But I think for new believers, it's on a personal thing, they need to kind of start thinking, okay, since I have given my life over to Christ, what is it that I want to be pursuing? Mm-hmm. And I think that just basically means a heavy evaluation of what are the things that I've done in my past, and reevaluating that in the context of being a new believer. And that includes, what you've watched, what you consume, because that's just a part of life. That's not a wrong thing of life, but it is a thing where, with everything. And I think, some people have different struggles with different things. Like, if you were just a person who just kind of was just a casual moviegoer, that's going to be less of an impact versus somebody who maybe that was more of an issue. Maybe that is something that they're going to have to struggle with. And I think what I'm also kind of saying here is that non-believers as well, or not non-believers, I think that older believers, more experienced believers, they should kind of have the expectation that, okay, if I know that XYZ person has had a history watching certain things and indulging in certain things that probably in the walk of Christ you shouldn't really be, or should at least be concerned about, you should kind of have the expectation that they should be taking some evaluation of that, and that depending on their specific history with media and movies, that would be wise or at least prudent to say, hey, I know in your past you've done XYZ thing, or you've watched a lot of XYZ things. Let's just kind of have it would probably be prudent to just talk about that at the very least. Because it's one of those things where, again, we're not saying that everything you've done in the longest past, you need to cut it all off. But at the same time, I don't think it's unjust or necessarily wrong to kind of have that expectation that there should be something different. And if we're not seeing that, does that mean they're not saved? Not necessarily, but it's kind of one of those things where it talks about, the Bible talks about, the roots and the fruits and the tree, all that, where the idea that, whatever the tree produces, where the fruit is produced, that tells you what the tree is like, or the plant is like. So
I want to ask you.
It's a bit of a garble of thoughts, but that's kind of what's coming out.
But I want to ask you a question. You said something along the lines of something. If you're watching something, something you should or shouldn't as a new Christian. That's kind of what I want to get to the root of. Is like, should you just keep to PG movies? Should you keep to G movies? Should you only watch the Peanuts movie because that's the latest thing that I've known that's been only G? That's not like Gabby's Dollhouse or whatever.
Who's Gabby?
It's a kid's show. But like deeper than that, like what is should? I know a lot, like Deacon doesn't even like horror movies, but he advocates for them. I knew somebody, she said she laughs at horror movies because they're so stupid to her, which is fine. That's her preference. But like, I wouldn't encourage a new Christian to go watch a horror movie, or advocate it for myself to them. That's why sometimes on this podcast I'm like, I'm not advocating for these movies. I'm saying this is my experience with them.
So your question is more specific, saying like, if you were in the context of trying to talk to a young believer or whatever, and then you were to say, here's some advice when it comes to movies and being a new believer. Here's recommendations or ideas so you can start talking about or thinking about that. Is that kind of more?
We can make a hypothetical person saying you just had a deep prayer with them, they've accepted Christ, their heart's in the right place, and then they go to The Conjuring or what was the Weapons. It's a very graphic and weird movie to watch. Like it's like, what would you say to them? Would you say, Isaac?
Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily know if.
Here's the thing.
Stop.
if something is graphic, like when you say graphic, my mind goes to like gore. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's necessarily not Christian.
Sure, it depends on the context. Yes, war movies.
Because
I think what we are, as Christians, what we are called to do in terms of the media that we consume is to be careful that it's something that won't lead us or others to sin. Mm-hmm. I think that obviously one of the most obvious ways that happens is sexually explicit things, like The Wolf of Wall Street, like we had in Jeopardy. But I will say that if for whatever reason gore is one of those things that like you see that and you just instantly are like, yeah, I don't know. It depends on the person. I think it depends on if that's something that would lead them to sin. Then obviously, well, then don't watch it. But if you know that, like, I've watched Hacksaw Ridge. We talked about Hacksaw Ridge. I don't think that is a movie that would lead me to sin because it's gory. It's a moving movie. They were like The Passion of the Christ, mm-hmm. right? That movie is extremely gory. Mm-hmm. It's a movie I genuinely think every Christian should watch because but just because it's gory, I don't necessarily think it should mean that we don't watch it. I think it depends on the person, and you have to kind of know your own boundaries, if that's the right word. Boundaries for it.
Oh, now we're recording.
No, I'll cut it. I'm cutting stuff. No, I think that.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That
being, a friend.
It really steered
yummy.
Where were we?
I had just finished talking.
Zach had an idea.
your enlightening idea.
Let's make it smooth transition. I just finished talking.
Or make it very obvious, but just like, please stand by screen.
Yes. Technical difficulties, please hold.
Ellie let me pick out a shirt. That's what happened during our break.
He will put in a picture from that shirt.
Oh, yes.
As he's editing it.
Yep.
So that's on recording now. So.
Yep. We'll do it live.
But anyway, we'll do it live. Anyway, I think the important question to ask when like consuming any movie or TV show is like, what is it glorifying?
Or what's its purpose?
Yeah, what's its purpose? Well, like, with like, what is it glorifying? I mean, I think that's why I like superhero movies and TV shows a lot. Is that it's because it's about the battle of good and evil, and it's like ultimately glorifying what is good, what is right. I think that's
the real punk rock.
Yeah, that's the real punk rock. Anyway, and that's why I almost think like some of these like PG-13 and R-rated comedies can almost be more dangerous than horror films because they like glorify premarital sex and like this party scene.
Well, and then Deacon's argument from Horror is Biblical, which is a great episode, one of our first. He said when you get into the promiscuity and the rom-coms of this guy or that guy, or even into cheating and sexualizing a man or a woman in those situations that are meant to be normal. Like the bar has been lowered over the years to be, this is okay, and then this is okay, and it just gets lower for that kind of stuff. And so he argued that some of that is more dangerous than straight up gore and horror. So,
and like, with a movie like The Prestige, where like everyone's not a great person. Like they're not doing great things. It's not glorified. And there's ultimately like the message of like the consequences of obsession and revenge. Or with a show like Daredevil as well, where it is very graphic with the violence and gore. Like if it glorified that, I probably wouldn't watch it. But
maybe Born Again.
Maybe it's Born Again's gotten a little excessive with it. Especially
we talked about how it's like a childlike, this is bad, so we're gonna do it, or whatever. So
well, that's the thing that kind of annoys me is with a lot of films where they're super bloody and super gory. Here's the thing: is I like things that are realistic, but there's also the thing where, especially with like the Deadpool stuff, where it's like, oh, you cut off this guy's head, it's just exploding blood, and that's somebody who has not killed people. But I have handled it hunting and things like that, and I've had to put down animals and dealing with gutting, and got my hands bloody quite literally. So it's just part of being on a farm. It kind of annoys me when there's things like that's not like if you that like yes, things will be bloody, things will be that, but there's also just like not.
There's a lot of gratuity in that.
Yeah.
But I also know that in the past month, a lot of people have seen a very horrible video and realized that death is gruesome and terrible, and it sticks with you more than a movie. And some of that may lead somebody like myself to be like, I just don't care for this movie right now, because I've seen stuff I shouldn't have seen that really happened. And sometimes you get like a war video or something that's very similar, or sometimes war movies in a different tone, like comparing Deadpool to Hacksaw Ridge, very different tones to show possibly the same type of move or kill, as somebody say, but it's going to affect you differently because of the tone. Well,
and that's the thing, is like it's a lot of, again, what's the purpose of the movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for most of the well done war movies, it's not to glorify war, but it's to present war authentically, which is in all its bloody form. Which is like, that's going to come with the expectation that this isn't pretty. That's why we're showing it. To kind of go back a bit to your general question, and which is like, new believers and thinking about movies and that sort of thing. I think that you can kind of, it's a good idea to always just, if you're somebody who is recently converted, and it's kind of a package thing where you need to kind of rethink everything sort of, which is like, what have, in regards to media, what have all I consumed in the past, and what should I think about that now that I am a new believer? And what as I go into continuing to just watch films and things like that, which again, there's nothing wrong with that.
I think it's an important thing to start thinking about being critical about everything that you start to consume.
And that expands beyond just movies. I think I would tie it kind of to drinking. Like if somebody is a new believer, I would not encourage them at all to, even if they have a history of alien drinking, I wouldn't really encourage that, because it's just a thing where drinking in and of itself is not necessarily a wrong thing. Like,
Clip it.
It's not.
I know.
Yeah, but like it's true. Like, it's not like there are people.
Some people act like we sarcastically act.
But like they're like people who I know who are perfectly capable of handling things. And I think it's a thing where, again, it's partially, some people are just better naturally, or maybe not better naturally. Some people just, drinking is less of an issue for them. It's like, yep, I have some here and there, and it doesn't, I don't ever get drunk, it's not an issue. And some people just naturally have a bit more of an issue with it.
And there is the Bible verse that says, don't get drunk on wine. Yeah. So there is a standard.
So there's a thing, I think that kind of, what my point to try and tie this into movies is that regardless of if, for example, if you're drinking, if somebody, in regards to drinking a new believer, I wouldn't recommend for anybody who is a new believer to just even do it at all, because that's not supposed to be your focus. And if you just avoid it at all, generally wholesale, then you can start thinking about, how can I actually handle it?
Yep.
Now I'm going to try to apply that to movies. When it comes to movies, just like, okay, rethink everything I've done with the past, kind of, reevaluate what have I watched, and then start thinking critically about what am I going to watch. And then then you can start to figure out what are your personal, not preferences, but personal strengths. Mm-hmm. It's not quite the right term, but it's there for every person and every believer. There are certain things where it doesn't affect them as much as other things. Yep. So, for example, I don't really care for horror. I know that it's not so much that I get scared, but especially if it's supernatural horror, I really don't like that, so I don't ever want to watch any of that. That's a personal, again, I don't want to use the term preference, but it's a thing where, some people are just able to more handle things. Or, for example, some people can just more easily handle seeing graphic depictions of violence and be unfazed by it, or unaffected towards that, or guided towards sin. Again, kind of pointing back to the drinking thing, where some people are just, they could be in a complete bar and have all the temptations, and it's not going to affect them as much as somebody else who is going to be more affected in that same environment. It can. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, as a general rule, for somebody who is a new believer, it would probably be of greater value to just be kind of overhaul, let's just step back for a second, rethink kind of everything, and then start taking it piece by piece. And that applies to kind of everything in your life when you become a new believer, is that everything should be kind of, let me just rethink all this. And then that's kind of like a broad guideline that I think was kind of a sort, not quite a set of rules, but just a guideline. And then you can start applying that as you go on in your Christian walk, and you can talking with others, and then thinking about, what is it that is going to affect me personally, and how can I start thinking about what I consume? Because we, as Christians, we are encouraged to consume good art that is valuable and uplifting, which, that has a wide spectrum of what you qualify as good art, and again, it's a personal thing as well. So, you guys are.
Can we talk, or is it the William show?
No. I think going off of that too is just because you can handle something doesn't mean it's always something you should put in front of you. Yeah. I think an important question to ask is what is this doing for me internally? Is this benefiting me in any way? Especially I think of things like The Boys, most of the Deadpool movies, or Peacemaker. It's when I'm seeing all this gratuitous gore, this nudity, and just sexual, explicit blah. It's is this doing anything for me beneficially to see all that? Mm-hmm. And I think, it's possible too for us to be desensitized in a sense to all this violence and gore. And I think there's a difference being able to handle it and being desensitized.
I think that's the thing you're kind of talking about. There's the things that you are affected by and things that are good for you, which those are not necessarily exclusive, or those things are. They can intersect. They don't necessarily intersect per se, but they can, but they don't necessarily. You can, So I think you explained that pretty well.
And there's some really good resources out there to use. Is the other thing. Is I remember when I was a lot younger, anytime we would want to watch a movie as a family, we'd use, I think it's Plugged In, right?
Well, we talked to Paul Acey from Plugged In.
Yeah, we'd use
I did.
Plugged In or Common Sense Media. Yeah.
IMDb too has their parents' guide too that I look at sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a legal adult.
Yeah.
I still use them when I what was the movie I just recently watched? I can't remember.
Sketch?
No, I just recently watched a movie, and that's what I did. Is I plugged in it.
Used Plugged In.
Used Plugged In. There we go. And just to see okay, is this something that I think I should be watching? It's an interesting topic, but is it? Oh, it was Kingsman.
The first one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one with the church scene too, isn't it?
Yes. And it was is this something that I can watch? Was the first question I had. And besides one scene, yes, it was something I can watch with the knowing myself, the boundaries I've set for myself, it is within those boundaries. The next question I had was, is this something I should watch? There wasn't anything within the guide, I guess, that to me said I shouldn't watch it. But when I started watching the movie, as I was going through, there were multiple spots where I was like, I don't know if this is something I should be watching. There were some points where I just fast forwarded like 2 minutes and was like, okay, where are we now?
Yeah. There's a lot of different approaches you can make. VidAngel. We'll cut things, we'll recolor blood, I think, to be desaturated, is what I've heard. I've never used it.
Is it like a plug-in thing where you install it, or?
I don't know exactly how it works.
It works with some streaming services.
But it cuts out, I think it's manually done, and then you can set certain things to be cut out, which is an interesting concept. I don't think that solves all the problems because there's still thematic problems that come up. Plugged In does light, medium, heavy for kids, teens, and adults, but that's also reliant on you agreeing with everything that Focus on the Family does. I do, but some people just don't follow that, and I think they evaluate it pretty well, but you still have to make the decision yourself. I know Kids in Mind is another. I've never heard of Common Sense Media, but Kids in Mind is there's this many words, this specifically, it writes it out. Plugged In is a little more essay-like, and so then you can read it, then you get spoilers, but at that point you gotta just be careful, like how much do you care about this movie? But my whole point is you need to think critically yourself and be informed using those tools. If you really want to watch Deadpool through VidAngel, that is going to be a completely different experience, but it is most likely an option if you so choose.
You know what?
It's like, okay,
2 minutes.
Continuing on the alcohol train, it's basically like drinking a virgin drink. It's just like some cherry juice in tonic water, and sure, it tastes good, but like, why are you going to the bar then if you're just gonna get some cherry juice and tonic water?
This is the second thought I had. I'll get back to the first one later. But what I think would be so funny is if you tried watching like Deadpool on VidAngel. It'd be like a parody of the Spider-Man Homecoming after credit scene, like the Captain America one, and it's just Deadpool, like with the chair. So you try to watch Deadpool on VidAngel. This is as much as you're going to get. Just with a white screen, I think that'd be hilarious, just something like that.
What was the first thought you had?
What was my first? Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was going to talk. So, like with Common Sense Media, it's really cool because it like breaks everything into sections. It's annoying because you don't get 3 reviews per month. But it'll tell you like sex and nudity, like mild, medium, high, stuff like that, profanity, violence, and gore. Breaks everything like that into sections. Even like it'll do alcohol, and it'll do
product placement.
It does product placement, which is interesting. Yeah, but I like it because they set like an age for like everything, and like usually, like the highest I'll usually go with watching something when I look on there's like either like 15 plus or 16 plus.
Oh, so they rate it. I might have missed you saying that, but like they give a score.
Well, that's like age.
Oh,
yeah,
age range.
So I was actually a little cautious because, for Insomnia, they had it as 18 plus.
Well, okay, to be fair for Insomnia.
Oh, he's defending from out of screen.
Pause your defense until you get back in.
We're getting a good pour from the root beer.
Oh, nope, he struggled to screw the cap on. He's trying one hand. Got it. He's on his way back. He's hustling. He really wants to make this point.
Speaking of drink, this is the only beer you'll ever see me have.
Sure. Root beer.
Anyway,
you were saying something while you
and
were.
why Insomnia should be 18 plus.
I'm just saying, like, it does have a lot of swearing.
There's a lot of swearing.
And okay, the thing is, I did watch this with my family, which is not a good family movie, and I figured that out very quickly. But
I was a little cautious to watch it, but then like everything else was saying it wasn't that bad. So
yeah, it's who do you trust and how much do you trust them for thinking for you. Again, some of it's like, should you just? I feel comfortable saying you should allow yourself to walk out of a movie or turn it off or whatever. But it's one of those things like, if you go to a football game, it's all going to be clean and family friendly. You don't. Sometimes the football. What? No, I've seen some problems in recent months.
What kind of football game are you referring to?
No, like there was
high school and college football games. That's not. I guess it depends also where you're at.
Yeah, I was saying NFL, most major league, but I was gonna say I also knew.
What's happening at high school football games?
Have you ever been on the sideline of a high school football game?
Oh, I meant that when my kid is born, I'm not going to think twice about putting a football game on. Like I know that it's safe, and they make it family friendly.
On the TV. Okay.
Except for the one player who walks by the ref as he's giving it and he swears.
Yeah.
That's happened.
That's great.
And there's also but then there's commercials to worry about. Right. So you have to walk through the commercials are the problem in that situation. Yeah. But you still have to know that. And my parents would do the don't look at this TV trailer, which was like Transformers or something. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, Transformers?
You got homeschool parents. It's okay. I'm kidding. Guys, Green, if you're hearing this, you're great. I'm sorry.
No. I don't know.
No. We'll let the wife sit next to you.
Ellie, are you? She went to the bathroom. She might have went to the bathroom.
Okay. No.
Seth, are you talking to your imaginary girlfriend?
My imaginary wife.
It's all I'm sorry. I'm just imagining that your entire wedding was just a sign up and you're
just some random woman who was like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
You just paid her to
Yeah.
A hired actress.
Okay.
All right.
Where were we?
I wanted to ask you guys what your boundaries are. Like, what do you know is your limit that you would say, like you would use as an example? I think that when
I turned off Yellowstone.
Okay. Well, sorry. I'm not. Yes. I'm still setting it up. Like,
sorry.
Again, I'm thinking about alcohol as a good kind of example. I know people who don't drink because they know that it's not a good first step. Like just stop right there, and that's their preference. And sharing that with others should be this is my preference. This is how I go about it because my lineage has a lot of drunks in the past, so I don't want to tease that. I don't want to even bother with it. Like I'll just drink pop, and that's their choice. But it should be this is my experience. I'm not saying you need to do this, but this is my experience. So as you guys explain your boundaries, think of it as this is what I do. It's not what the listener should do. Like if somebody is trying to find some guidance on how to approach movies, first go listen to Plugged In's podcast because they're much better at this than we are. Yes. But also like how do we as hosts approach it? And this is good for when we come back to be like, hey, we said this in this episode.
Yeah, I would just want to say one quick thing, actually, because I had this good thought just before we say our personal things, which kind of ties into it. But just about the drinking thing, I think I've actually like using that analogy. I think we can also think about the fact that there are people who are just capable of drinking. No, they drink, not like getting drunk, but they drink, and it's not an issue for them. However, I think for a lot of people, as in maybe even a majority of people, the chance of them being tempted into getting drunk is overall much higher. I don't mean that as like if you had a society where everybody was like Mormons, if you had a society where nobody drinks. I think would that society be better than a society that does have a majority of people drinking? What I mean is like because of the fact that a lot of people are just more likely to fall into sin than not because it's harder to, and you kind of see what
it's psychological.
I'm just saying that I think that when there's probably better to just always generally be like less is more. Okay, like, less is more. Erring on the side of caution of like maybe I can handle it, but. Do I really need to in 20 years or no, in like if I do this, like, is it really going to be of benefit to me long term? Like, I think that's what I'm trying to get to here is that generally speaking, it's not that big of a deal if I don't do it or don't watch this or don't consume that, which is hard because we live in the internet where everything is you're supposed to consume.
And it's humility. It's like saying I don't need to fit in right now. I'm just gonna let this part go.
So what I said was I turned off Yellowstone. I started the first episode, skipped through the first scene where some sexual stuff happens, and tried to continue watching thinking like, oh, okay, that's the one.
The pilot.
Correct. That's like the one time for like the season or whatever. It won't happen again. I don't even remember at what point I turned, but it was very soon after. I was like, nope, this is way too. I mean, it is to the point where, and for some people it might be completely different, but I didn't even want to start down that road of like, I don't want to, for lack of a better term, tempt fate with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just generally curious because I haven't watched Yellowstone, but I don't really. I know it's very dramatic, but I don't really like it that much. But not necessarily for that.
I haven't seen it.
The reason I don't like it is because I've grown up on a farm, and Yellowstone is reported to be like, oh, ranchers, and yeah, we're in a farm and that sort of stuff. But it's also just, it seems really dumb because it's like, oh, they're super dramatic, and that's right, we're about the group, and we brand you with actual brand, yeah. Also, it's so rough for us because we have so much money that we can afford and good working vehicles. I'm sorry, I'm just mentioning.
He hates creative liberties.
No. I hate the fact that like it's sort of authentic and country when it's like, you're a rich farm. You don't, shut up. Get over it. You don't have to spend, sorry. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just mentioning about Yellowstone.
they can find a way to, or if somebody is able to make a version of it that removes the sexual stuff, like the bit that I have seen, it's a really good series. Like the opening scene, really good.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, the parts beyond what I saw, it sets it up, and from what I've heard from family that has watched it, they all say it turns into a really good series. And I have a friend of mine at college who grew up on a horse ranch, who's watched it, and he says it is accurate in a lot of what it does. There are creative liberties taken with some of it, but it's accurate. Just because everybody else is watching it and says it's good, of course, doesn't mean that you should watch it.
No, I just don't care part. It's more of like because of, it's not even so much because I haven't heard of the sexual stuff. It doesn't surprise me, but it's more because of just, I come from a horror farming background, so it's like, oh, our struggle is so hard. Like, that pickup truck is $100,000, and you all have those. I don't care for your struggle.
We're not talking about accuracy right now.
I'm sorry, but I had to write it up.
And it's one of those things where like everybody is just raving about it and saying it's so good, and I want to watch it because it sounds good. The premise behind it sounds amazing. Mm-hmm. I just know I just know what is a good idea for me to watch, and unfortunately, that is not something that falls under that.
Okay. So I want to go back to 2023 real quick to kind of like, this is going to be a roundabout way of things, but anyway, like I think it was after the first press screenings of Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm. I remember this.
Yeah. It was a conversation I had with Seth.
Really? We talked about this on the podcast too, didn't we?
Well, the only Oppenheimer we've done is you, Josh, and I, and we're going to do Oppenheimer Revisited.
Anyway, I think Seth knows where I'm going with this. Oh, yeah. You know, like one of the biggest things after the first press screenings was, I think they said it was kind of like a 15-minute sex scene, which didn't even end up being true. Right. I don't even know if he has 15 minutes total of sex and nudity. You know, I know Christopher Nolan's like an innovative director, but it's like, I don't think he's going to do a 15-minute sex scene. But it's like, I think after hearing about that, you know, I told Seth, it's like, I don't think I'm going to watch this movie because I'm like, I don't really want to expose myself to all that.
Turns out it was a bunch of trolls.
Yeah, it was a bunch of trolls. But then too, like, I mean, you know, I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be that bad. But even like,
probably the kitchen. Isaac says, "Where'd Ellie go?" And I said, "To the kitchen." She was going to probably start our pizzas.
She's working on that sandwich.
Say it. That's got to get cut. Please cut that.
Yeah.
I'm begging.
I think when we watch stuff like graphic nudity and sex scenes like that, it can have a power over us. You know what I mean? But are we also giving it a power when we say, I'm not going to watch this 3-hour movie because of a few minutes of that?
Giving it power?
Yeah, am I giving it power by saying I'm not going to watch the whole 3-hour movie because
like
of
a
that?
Voldemort style, like not saying his name creates him.
Like as in it has power over me, so I'm not going to refuse or I'm going to refuse.
Well, do you get what I mean?
I kind of get what you mean, but I think that it's more the fact that, you know, if you see a traffic light and it's on red. He just says, well, you know. Oh no, that's not the right.
Well, no, because that has a consequence.
What I'm saying
Yeah.
about it is that I'm giving it a certain amount of power just by saying I'm not going to watch this whole movie because of it.
Are you thinking more throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying this 2 hours and 45 minutes is absolute cinema, but this 15 minutes is not good for me?
Yeah.
And so I shouldn't watch the 2 hours and 45 minutes of absolute cinema.
Yeah. And I think...
Or do you wait for it to come out to a form where you can avoid that?
I think that's a good option that we don't take that step as often. Like, I want to watch a lot of movies in theaters for the experience and for doing it soon, doing it quickly as soon as it comes out. That doesn't need to be the case. And I think maybe Oppenheimer was a case that we should have done that, even though we got to look into each other's eyes.
Whoa.
No, I looked at Ellie.
Whoa.
I looked at Ellie, and Josh looked at Will. That's what happened.
The funny thing is we're technically related too, so.
No, I think that you can have the ceiling become a very interesting part of the room in those moments, but I think sometimes the step is just with our option to watch at home, which hasn't always been a thing for cinema. Yeah. Do that. Fast forward. Skip.
Mute. That's all those.
And then you don't have to. And then you don't have to have VidAngel doing it for you. Yeah. You have that control, and then you take that self-control, and that probably grows you to say, all right, boop, 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 skip.
Again, self-regulation.
We're gonna wrap up and go eat some pizza. So, listener, share this with a friend. Rate us 5 stars and
No, rate us 4 stars. It makes it look better.
Until next week, know that you're loved. God bless.
Thanks for watching.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Hey. And I'm here, so it's okay.
Oh gosh, I forgot.
That's my pickup line.
No wonder it doesn't work.
We laugh because it's never been tried. Singles together.